this is being billed as the great day of men out, women in. That is, the choreography is quite clear. I mean, last night was the night of the long knives if you were, a middle-aged man. And today you've got this procession of women smiling as they go into Downing Street. Isabel, what's your reading of this? Do you think that this has been a sort of a giant leap forward for women in government? Or?
Well, I think Number 10 obviously want to present it as a clearing out of the men and ushering in of the women, almost like sort of jazz hands, here come the women, basically. But actually, if you look at who's been appointed, so the new Foreign Secretary is definitely a man. Michael Fallon has been promoted to Defence Secretary. He's quite manly too. Stephen Crabb has replaced David Jones as Welsh Secretary. David Jones was sacked partly because he was a middle-aged man. And Stephen Crabb's a little bit younger, but he's definitely got quite a big beard, so he's still a man. So actually, it's not this great advance for women. There are women being promoted, and I'm not going to complain about women doing well in their careers, but some of them have shot up through the party very, very quickly. So Nicky Morgan was a backbencher in 2010, is now Education Secretary, which is still quite impressive. So there has been an advance of women, but it hasn't been quite the kind of women domination of the cabinet that we might have been led to believe.
I mean, Nicky Morgan demonstrates that the quickest way to get ahead in this government is to get into George Osborne's good books.
Oh, of course. She's one of George's angels, isn't she?
She went to the Treasury, and she's now became one of his ministers, impressed him, became Minister for Women when Maria Miller went, and has now joined the cabinet as Secretary of State for Education. One of the things I'm surprised by, I don't think that the rise of women...
It sounds like a woman being helicoptered in above our heads, even as we speak, no doubt.
One of the things I'm quite surprised by is that the promotions for women haven't quite justified some of the hype and some of the headlines. So we've not seen, David Cameron has not taken the opportunity to appoint the first ever female Defence Secretary. We've seen, I think 3 women join the full cabinet, in Liz Truss going to Environment, Tina Stow become Leader of the Lords, and Nicky Morgan at Education. None of these are kind of groundbreaking roles. And Esther McVey, who everyone was tipping for Ken Clarke's old job, she has just kept her Minister of State job for employment with the right to attend cabinet, which is really not that much of a change.
So in other words, they want to say that she's been promoted to the cabinet when in fact she's doing what she's always doing.
But I think what's very odd about that was there seemed to be a logic to putting her in the Ken Clarke job, which is she has a very marginal seat, and freeing her up from departmental responsibilities while still allowing her to tour the broadcast studios and do all that stuff. That seemed to make a lot of sense. So I'm slightly surprised that they have decided to keep her in a departmental job, especially in a department which is DWP, which is quite a lot of work.
I also get the impression they've slightly winched back from their reshuffle for the women from the weekend. One of the few briefings that they did give to the Sunday papers was that there would be a Tory First Lady. That was one of the stories that appeared in The Sun. Now, there's no, as far as I'm aware, no Tory First Lady, no special...
Other than Sam Cameron, eh?
Other than Sam Cameron. She hasn't been promoted yet.
Not yet. It's only 2 o'clock. So James, do you not think, there was something rather old school in describing this in gender terms? I mean, we at The Spectator, staff here are 2/3 women, right? We don't go out to hire people because of their gender. We just want the best. But there, it seems as if your gender is hugely important, and it almost seems as if they see the gender first and the person second.
I think what has changed with the 2010 intake of Tory MPs is that there are lots of women in there who deserve to be there on merit. I think if you look back at some of the people who previously got into Tory cabinets, you could tell that there was a concern about gender balance. Would Cheryl Gillan necessarily have been Welsh Secretary if she had been the male MP?
Theresa Villiers?
Yeah, indeed. And there were actually one female Tory who has been promoted in this reshuffle. She said to me recently that she thought that it would actually be quite a good sign if Theresa Villiers or one of the other women who are perceived to have underperformed would have left in this reshuffle, because it would have sent out a message that this was actually about merit. It would actually have made things easier for the women who are rising up the ranks, because it would have sent a clear message that actually if women don't perform, they're bound by exactly the same rules as men, and they get the old heave ho too.
Isabel, do you think how much do you think voters care about gender balance? The idea is the party wants to look like the rest of the country and be modern, etc. Has this been proven to get you more votes.
I don't think we're going to see a post-reshuffle polling bounce amongst women or anything like that, but I suppose what it does do is very subtly give the impression, as voters watch TV over the next few months before the election, that there are women in government. And I suppose one of the things that swing voters base their decision in the polling station on is whether they feel the government represents them.